So you want to get jacked really fast as a vegan. In this video, I'm going to tell you the exact step-by-step process I would follow to do that. My name is Julian, CEO of Jacked Vegans, where we help vegans lose fat, build muscle, and look great naked without eating animal products. So let's go ahead and dive in. The first step in this process is going to be to establish a fitness goal. And this is going to be incredibly important because depending on your starting point, you got to decide how many calories you're going to eat. And there are 3 fitness goals you can pursue to get going. Number 1, you can focus on a calorie deficit and weight loss / fat loss. You can focus on maintenance and body recomposition, or you can focus on a calorie surplus and gaining weight and gaining muscle mass. If you have too much body fat, if you're a little bit on the overweight side, then you gotta start with a calorie deficit because you want to get rid of the extra body fat. And in the next steps, I'm going to tell you how to lose body fat and gain muscle mass at the same time. On the other hand, you have a bit of body fat, but you don't have too much muscle mass. You can get yourself on maintenance calories in which you're going to experience body recomposition. That means gaining muscle mass and losing body fat at the same time. And lastly, if you're like truly skinny and you don't have a lot of body fat and you don't have a lot of muscle mass either, you can start on a calorie surplus, which is going to help you gain muscle and gain weight. So it's important that you nail this first step, because if you make a mistake, let's say that you have too much body fat and you start on a calorie surplus, then you're going to end up gaining weight and gaining more fat. You will gain muscle mass, but you also gain more weight and more fat, and you're not going to be happy with the result. So really important that you nail this first step. This is the base. If you don't nail this, most of the things I'm going to talk about later don't really matter. So if you have any questions about this, drop them in the comments. Number 2, establishing your protein intake. And this is going to be incredibly crucial for vegans because most of the people that start working with me and my team, they don't really know how much protein they need. And once they know how much they need, they don't know what foods to eat to hit the number. And protein is incredibly crucial to gain muscle mass because your muscles need a couple things to grow. They need calories to fuel the processes inside your body. They need protein to recover from the resistance training because your muscles are basically made out of protein. Resistance training, you gotta work out hard to grow muscle mass, and they need rest and recovery. So if you have these 4 things in place, you will experience muscle gains. But if you're missing them, then you will not experience muscle gains, or you're going to be leaving gains on the table. So protein is incredibly important. Generally, we recommend somewhere between 0.7 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. Don't overcomplicate it, just pick a number in that range and go with it. If you need to adjust later, you can. Typically, if you have like a little bit too much body fat, you can go for the lower end of the range. And if you're skinny without much body fat, you can go for the higher end of the range. The third thing I would do is follow a proper training program. And this is gonna be also incredibly important because I've been going to the gym for a very long time, and I just see people that go for years without making any progress. And I also see them lifting with very poor technique and just doing routines that don't make a lot of sense. So it's a time waste. And if you're doing something for years and years and years, that your time is properly invested, that you're not wasting your time by doing useless things that don't yield the results that you want. So a good training routine should have compound moves mainly. That means multi-joint exercises. So for example, a bench press, a squat, a deadlift, those are compound moves because they involve more than one joint. And isolation exercises, they involve just one joint and one muscle group. So your program needs to be mainly made up of compound moves and needs to be supplemented with isolation work depending on your goals. If you're not doing compound moves, then you're off to a really bad start. Then you gotta make sure that you have good technique, because if you're doing weird movements or you're using momentum and you're like jerking things off to be able to lift them, you're not gonna be stimulating the muscles you want to stimulate. If you're doing like bench presses and you're lifting your butt off the bench and you're like swinging around and doing weird stuff to lift the bar of your chest, you're using other muscle groups that are not supposed to be involved in that movement to lift the weight. And the reality is that for a bench press, you wanna be stimulating your chest, your shoulders, and your triceps. And if you're using like your glutes to create more strength and to lift yourself, or you do this to lift the bar, then you're using other muscles that don't have anything to do with the movement to lift the weight. So you're not really accomplishing the goal that you want, which is stimulating your chest, your triceps, and your shoulders. Same thing for any other movement. Make sure that you lift with proper technique. That's why for our clients, we do technique reviews. They send us videos of themselves lifting. We see their technique and send them corrections. And over time, we're able to really clean up that technique and get them to do things almost perfectly. I say almost because there will always be room for improvement. Even myself at this point that I've been lifting for a very long time, that I know how good technique looks like, I catch myself sometimes using a bit of momentum to be able to lift some weight, and I make the necessary corrections. So make sure you're doing the same. The next thing you gotta be aware of in your training program is progressive overload. You want to get stronger, and you got to track that, because how do you know if you're getting stronger? You want to get stronger over time and be able to do more work in the gym. That's how you grow, because you're able to increase the level of difficulty of the things that you do in the gym. So the way that you increase that is by adding more volume. The way you add more volume is either by adding a little bit of weight every week, by adding a little bit of reps, or by adding sets, or a combination of all three. And the only way for you to know if you're doing that is tracking what you're doing every week. So you can have an application that tells you what to do, and you can see what you've done. You can have a logbook, like a notebook, where you track things manually. Doesn't really matter how you do it. The most important thing is that it gets done. You want to make sure that you're getting stronger over time and that you're able to do more work. If you've been in the gym for 3 years and your squat hasn't improved at all, then it's probably a good indicator that your program is not ideal. However, if you started the gym this year and at the beginning of the year you were able to do the bar times 10 reps for 3 sets, and now you're able to do 135 pounds, 3 sets of 10 reps. That's clear indicator of progress. So make sure you're tracking things so you know whether you're making progress or not. The fourth thing I would pay attention to is my recovery and my sleep, because your muscles are not built in the gym. You stimulate your muscles in the gym, then with the nutrition and with the rest, your muscles recover and they grow and they get stronger. And sleep is a crucial part of that equation. Most people need somewhere in between 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So if your sleep is not on point, you're going to be leaving gains on the table. Not only that, lack of sleep is just brutal. It affects your mental health, it affects your performance, your immune system, your hunger levels. So it affects almost everything in your body and in your head too. So make sure that you really dial in your sleep. 7 to 9 hours. Most people are golden with that. And the last thing I would establish to make sure I get jacked really fast is my activity levels. That involves my daily step count and my cardiovascular activity. For daily steps, most people need somewhere in between 8 to 12,000 steps. Some people need more, some people need a little bit less. Your lifestyle, your schedule, they all will have an influence on how many steps you can do every single day. So again, this is going to be very personal. And then cardiovascular activity is mainly for your health, because you want your heart to get stronger as well, and that's accomplished via cardiovascular activity. The amount of minutes you're going to do per week, again, is going to depend on your schedule, your goals, and many other things. So if you want me to give you a number, 80 to 120 minutes per week should suffice to keep you healthy, but the real number is going to depend on your long-term goals. And listen, you can get really good results really fast in the gym. For example, we got this client that started with us, and in 6 months, she only lost 8 pounds on the scale, but she ended up losing 11 pounds of fat and adding 5 pounds of muscle mass, which is huge. She accomplished great recomposition. But that can only be accomplished if you have the right plan. So if you want me and my team to help you get similar results, help you get jacked as fast as possible, then you can check out my one-on-one coaching link in the description. Just click on that and you can apply for a free consultation. In my coaching, we take care of everything. You don't need to worry about figuring anything out. We'll tell you how many calories you eat, how much protein you need. We'll give you a meal plan. We'll tell you how to train, how many days to train, which exercises to do. We'll review your technique, and we'll hold you accountable. And then you have a community of 200 vegans that are going to be by your side as well in this process. So you're going to have everything you need to succeed with vegan fitness. Link in the description. And you can also find a bunch of resources down there that are going to help you with your fitness goal. That's all I got for you today. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. I'll see you guys next time.